Alright, time to check in again with the vlog, which is something that we haven't done in a while. Definitely have a lot to talk about this week, so go ahead and get started. This has been a really busy week, even though I was only at school 3 days this week. I was out 2 days, one of which was a work day anyhow, because I had my first on-campus interview for full-time positions for next year. But still a very busy week. Managed to teach all of the Great Depression and New Deal in 90 minutes. Quite a feat. Not sure how effective that was, but we'll get to that. First thing to talk about is I've definitely felt more comfortable in the classroom teaching with real students than in our class at Tech with the rest of the cohort, because the students in the rest of the cohort already know the stuff, and having a real audience that's really engaged is a lot easier, even though sometimes they really aren't all that engaged. One thing that I have been dealing with a lot in the course of this week is a time crunch. Only have about 5 weeks of the teaching internship left, and I know at least one of those days we are off because of a holiday, and the end of my internship is also the date the district's targeted as the day that we're going to be done with instruction and switch over to review for the almighty SOL test. That means that right now for U.S. History 11th grade, I need to get through World War II, the Cold War, the Civil Rights Movement, and modern America in the next 5 weeks. That sounds a lot easier than I think that it's really going to be. I'm definitely feeling a time crunch, especially when it comes into including all the activities and stuff that we're being asked to include in the as far as a part of our electronic portfolio and the rest of the graduate program. Wouldn't be easy for anybody, but I think that it's definitely even more of a challenge. Something that I've mentioned before is that I do have 4 classrooms. I'm only taking over 3 of the 5 classes that my teacher teaches for a variety of reasons. Those other 2 classes have proved to be quite challenging in terms of classroom management, and then they're also struggling a bit more with behavior and with other issues than my cooperating teacher really feels comfortable with me taking over. Having a little bit of a reduced load as far as teaching is nice. It doesn't make it a whole lot less work in the preparation. Actually, it doesn't make it any less work other than some of the grading, but I'm doing the vast majority of the grading anyhow for her classes as well. What I'm seeing, though, as far as that time crunch, getting from class to class has been a lot of an issue, especially now that we are moving at a faster pace and more students are under the crunch. They're coming to us for more and more help, and it's harder and harder to get from class to class. My school doesn't have a lot of technology built in, so I'm moving an LED projector that's on a cart from classroom to classroom the vast majority of the day in order to be able to incorporate the technology into the class that I want to have. Quite different than last semester when every room had an active board in the room. Amazing that it's the same district, because it definitely doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like the same district in a couple of different ways, one of which is the technology, but I think what plays a bigger part is the expectations of the community. I feel like the expectations of the community are different between the semesters, located in different parts of the county, same district. But the students at the middle school last semester seem to be largely of a little bit higher socioeconomic status than at the high school this semester, and also a different value that's being placed on education. And I'm not sure what part of this has to do with middle school versus high school versus what part is just the community expectations. At this school, I think that education is viewed as a little bit more of something you have to get through, rather than trying to get a passion for lifelong learning, as the bumper stickers go. What does that mean for me? I think that it means that the focus of my instruction is definitely different than it would have been had I been at the same school this semester. Um, we're spending a lot of our time and energy on getting the students through those high stakes tests that they have to take this spring. And that's both a good thing and a bad thing. I think that it's good that the high stakes tests have forced teachers to get through all of history, as opposed to when I was in middle school when the SOLs were just first coming out, and no history class got much past about 1930. That's a good thing, but the bad thing is all of the focus and energy that we put into preparing students for one test that isn't put into classroom instruction on new concepts and promoting higher level thinking. I recognize I play a small part in the decision making, just that of one voter, and I definitely have to question the value of what we're doing as far as high stakes tests, because it seems like so much of what I'm doing is just drilling facts into students' heads with lots and lots of review, word associations, and so on, to get them through that test. And I don't really feel like I'm necessarily teaching them anything like I really hope to do. That's been pretty frustrating, and I think that it's been hard to come to terms with, and it's something that I'll probably continue to revisit throughout the semester. And once the semester's over and I get a chance to sit down and actually think, I think that will be one of my main conclusions, is that education is a lot different today, and being a teacher is a lot different and means something a lot different than what I had it in my mind when I was coming into the program. Some of that might have been me being naive, but I think that also education is going through a fundamental restructuring, and it'll be really, really interesting to see what the outcome is, and I really hope that all these high stakes tests actually work out. That's not my gut feeling, though. I really feel like we're doing something horribly wrong, and to an extent feel bad to be a part of that. I don't feel bad about being in education, but I do feel bad focusing so much on something that probably isn't what students really need, and that's been tough to come to terms with. Something else that has been difficult to come to terms with is the make-up work policy at the school and in the district. Students are allowed to make up virtually anything through the end of the 9 weeks for pretty much so any reason. This past week being the end of the blocking period meant that I had an absolutely absurd number of makeup assignments come in. I stayed after school one day. We had extra help, students coming in during lunch. And at the end of the day on Wednesday, the deadline that we had set, we had probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 250 assignments that were being made up from throughout the semester to grade. The grading time and the classroom administration time has been huge. That's something that I wasn't expecting to see, but it comes with the territory of being in the school that I'm at, I guess. That's definitely been a challenge, and something else that makes it even harder to stay on the schedule that I had set for myself at the beginning of the semester. The 7 snow days didn't help out much either, nor did my illnesses or my cooperating teachers' illnesses. So it's been a rough start, rough semester, but I feel like we are in a pretty good place and well positioned to get our kids through that test. I just don't know if that's what we really need to be focusing on as much as we are. Well, that's it for this week. I will be back later on, 2 weeks till spring break.